Okay, today it's about 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning. We're going to replace the stock Ford shifter with an MGW. This is a 2011 Shelby GT500. I used a heat gun last night and a strap wrench to get this gear shift knob loose, so I wouldn't have to fool with that this morning. I can tell you it's pretty tight, but if you just wrap aluminum foil around the boot so that you don't burn that, and heat this shaft right here and up underneath here, put your strap wrench on it and it'll come loose. And that's the ball right there. Next thing you do is just open your rear compartment. You should be able to grab this center piece and pull up. It should pop right out. There's snaps in 6 locations and it'll pop right up out of there. And you've got one connector under here that goes for your traction control, hazard lights, and trunk opener, and that just snaps loose. And then you've got connectors over here for your cup lights, which I don't see how that one comes loose here. Yeah, I do. There's a little tab you push in there. Well, let's see here. Tab you push in there and a tab you push in here, and those come out. And I guess there's one more here. But just make sure that you got your connectors where you'll remember them when you go back together. And you've got to take this connector up out of the way, which should just pop out of 2 places here, and lay that back out of the way. Now we've got these 2 13mm bolts we've got to take out of the shifter, and then we'll disassemble some of this. It's a little tight as the threads are coming out. We'll get a ratchet wrench between the side of the console here that the ratchet would not. Just take those out. Okay, now this last bolt comes out of here as I let the wrench fly. Take that out. Still need a wrench. I believe these were set with a light grade Loctite initially. So there's your old shifter, which we will not be reusing. Set that aside. Now we should disassemble. You've got one plastic push pin here that pops right out, which gets you to the insulation, which you just lift off and ease out of there. We're going to reuse this, so we'll set this aside here. And you've got 10mm bolts, which you're going to need a deep well socket for there. Your 10mm bolts are here, and then your nuts are here. It's dark. Okay, I've taken off the nuts back here and the bolts out of here, and we're going to remove this tunnel plate. It should just lift right up, pop off there, and we're not going to reuse this, so we'll set this aside out of the way, and now you've got full vision of your shifter underneath here, and shortly we'll be going underneath the car. One One thing here now, we have taken the drive shaft out because we were going to replace it. I'm not sure that it's really worth doing that for the shifter install. I don't think it'd be that difficult from the MGW video instructions that you saw. But we did because we're replacing it. So as you can see in this, you can get to everything very easily. So this is the shoulder nut that we're going to take out. It's a 6mm Allen wrench that fits in this side, and then a 17mm box wrench on this side, and lefty loosey, righty tighty, folks. Let's fix that. So we're going to take that loose, which will disconnect the transmission from the ship. You get right there. So there we go. Now, it mentions in there you may need to use some PB Blaster or WD-40 to get this out. I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to do that. Which is a 10mm deep socket. These are rather fine bolts, so you don't want to get too manly either way, tightening it or ratcheting it down as they can strip. Take that nut, and we're going to reuse this nut, so make sure you don't discard that.
Yep.
The next thing we're going to do is lower the transmission a little bit so that we can access up in here a little better. So we got these 4 18mm bolts. And you'll notice this bracket, since we're going to take it off, it's got an indicator saying front, so you can't put it back on wrong. We're also going to install a drive shaft safety loop, which is going to attach on this rear side.
You take that brace all the way off? Huh.
I'll leave it a little bit here. A little bit too much force on that. It looks like we got a little 10mm bolt there, and then this, which is the reverse solenoid, unplugs there, and we got I think a 13mm bolt there. So let me get a 10mm. Actually, it's not 10mm. Let's see what it is. Yeah, it is. It's not that tight. Pull that out. Again, these bolts are not that tight, so it's not difficult to break loose. Probably a 13mm ratchet would be the way to go here. The end of this ratcheting wrench is too big to get in that space. And it's still too tight for the finger. The stubby ratchet works real good here. Let me just get that loose enough that we can get it to turn by hand, which I've got it now. And these sensors, just so you know, you're not going to lose any transmission fluid. They just a pressure fit with a silicone grease. And as I say, that little transmission fluid drips on me, but we're okay. Bushing or big double washer goes towards the rear of the car, and this sets up right here on these studs. Let's get lined up on them. And you're going to need the supplied MGW supplied fender washer and an MGW supplied lock washer, and then your original 6mm nut, which takes a 10mm socket to tighten. And you want to get this started by hand. Make sure you don't cross thread these, because these are small bolts. So I'll get those both started, and then we'll tighten that down. Go ahead and tighten these up. Now, just the instructions from MGW, and what I'm telling you now is do not over tighten these. Break one of these off or strip it out. You've got a lot of work ahead of you. Remember, the fender washer goes against the brace so that the lock washer doesn't score into the brace. Snug those down good. That should be fine. The drive shaft out where you have the luxury of being able to do all this underneath the car. I've already pre-adjusted this out to 5 turns out, where this faces the driver, the arrow faces the passenger when it's upside down to adjust it, and faces the driver as it should when it's in the normal position it will be in the car, which is like this. We've got it adjusted, they say 3 to 4 turns. I've adjusted this one to 5 based on some information I've read, some of the forums and other information. So I'm going to install this different than in the